This video is brought to you by Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist, my new book, which is a comprehensive guide to all aspects of music theory necessary for playing rock guitar. From blues to the cycle of fifths, from understanding and using modes to choosing the right notes for a melodic solo, from pentatonic scales to chord construction and keys. It's all covered in a clear and concise manner. With accompanying video demonstrations, jam tracks and tabs, you'll learn to use the knowledge you gain in accessible ways that make sense for less than the cost of a few guitar lessons. Check out the link in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. These Thursday videos are where I get the chance to put out content that doesn't necessarily fit into the usual categories of video that I do. And if you watch this channel regularly, then you'll know that Monday is always some kind of classic solo analysis. Tuesday, that's when I do a top 5 list. Wednesdays, well, until recently, I've been doing viewers' questions on a Wednesday. But the feedback I've had from those videos is, can we have some more rhythm guitar content, please? So I'm going to do a bunch of videos on a Wednesday about rhythm guitar techniques and so on. You maybe saw one yesterday that when it went out. You know, Fridays are the live stream where I drink beer and talk nonsense unscripted for an hour. And then Sundays, some kind of guitar review, demonstration, shootout, comparison, that sort of thing. Usually, well, always involving a piece of music that I put together with said guitar. But Thursday is where I get to, if I've got an unboxing to do or something like that, or if there's a particular topic I want to talk about, Thursday is when I'll do it. And that's what I'm doing today. If you've seen, and I imagine you have, the title of the video and the thumbnail, then you know what I'm going to be talking about. It seems that every now and again, and I touched on this in a video I did recently about the band The Darkness, every so often, somebody in the music press will trot out the old headline that rock music is dead, and you know, it gets them a bit of attention and a headline or two, and it becomes a talking point for a while, and then the world moves on. Nothing wrong with getting a bit of attention, by the way. What I'm doing now, you know, sat talking into a webcam, and that's going to go up on YouTube. What's that if not a form of attention seeking? But I just wanted to give you my thoughts on the whole rock music is or isn't dead kind of thing that kind of crops up from time to time. So I'll tell you what, I've been on Google and, you know, typed in, as you can see, is rock music dead? First result there is it's not dead at all. Still quite a bit of good rock being made, but it doesn't dominate in popularity anymore the way it used to. That's a good point. I'm going to come back to that. Monster riff there. Is rock dead? A discussion on the genre's dwindling, whatever that continues to say. Something called Vice saying rock is dead, thank God. Okay, well, I think we'll agree to differ on that. The data says rock music is dying, but can it be saved, etc., etc. It seems that there are no shortage of discussions going on about the demise or otherwise of rock music. Yeah, and that point that was made there about it doesn't dominate in the way that it once did, I think that's very pertinent, because once upon a time, well, for a long time, rock music was pretty near the forefront of culture, popular culture. You know, you think about how many rock songs were used as you know, in movie soundtracks and TV soundtracks and stuff like that, and you know, because it was something that the producers of said shows and movies knew that people could relate to, which I guess that's still happening a little bit. I would say that in the UK, rock music was never at the top of the pyramid in terms of popular culture, mainly because we didn't have you know, mass market rock music, you know, kind of content that we could tune into. I speak to American friends of mine, and they find it bizarre that when someone of like my age was growing up, there weren't any radio stations dedicated to playing nothing but rock music. We just didn't have anything like that in the UK in the 70s, 80s. I guess as we moved on, like into the 90s and the new millennium, we got things like Planet Rock, and you know, as the market opened up a bit. But for many years, decades, in fact, you know, rock music wasn't a thing that you could just say, okay, I'm going to listen to this radio station and I know I'm going to be hearing some rock music. If Bon Jovi or like a big sort of 80s rock band had a big hit single, then it'd get played on the top 40 stations and so on, and maybe a video would get played on Top of the Pops or something. But for, proper rock music in the UK, you had a 2-hour radio show on the BBC on a Friday night, the Friday Rock Show, and again, you had this really kind of late night live music show called the Old Grey Whistle Test, which was kind of on in the 70s and 80s and stuff. I don't know exactly when it bit the dust, but it did at some point. But here's the thing: rock music is dead. Rock music isn't dead. I do not care. It's not really an issue for me, and I don't really think it should be for anybody that likes the genre, really, though, that loves the genre. Okay, so it was possibly the biggest cultural phenomenon of the latter part of the 20th century, certainly musical, and now it's fair to say that it's perhaps faded a little bit from it's lost that gold medal position, but I don't care, What effectively this does, if rock music is kind of waning in its kind of status in popular culture, it's putting rock fans in the same boat as people who would go to the opera or the symphony, or people who would go out and listen to a Glenn Miller style big band. Those styles of music have, for instance, Glenn Miller big band style music hasn't been at the kind of top of the cultural heap since the late 1940s, but it endures. I was out walking to the shops the other day and passed a notice board on my way to the supermarket, buying some beer, funnily enough. Passed a notice board for a local sort of hall that we have here, and they're having a kind of celebration of the 40s night there, and there's going to be like some kind of big band kind of thing going on there, and no doubt people will get dressed up in the costumes and everything, and it'll be a fantastic night. So that the music endures. The people who love it will continue to love it, and it's often stated that these bands like The Who and Led Zeppelin and bands like that who prevent people from covering their music on channels like YouTube, they're shooting themselves in the foot because a new generation will never discover their music. Well, it'll make it more difficult, surely. It'll make it more difficult to discover their music, but I've discovered music that I was a child in the 70s, and I was perhaps not mature enough to to be listening to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and Deep Purple when you're kind of 8 years old, as I was in 1975. You're not listening to that kind of music. You're listening to ABBA, and and what Bay City Rollers and that kind of thing. That's the sort of music that you're kind of hearing then. I didn't discover the likes of all the classic 70s rock bands, like the big three: Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and all of the rest. I didn't discover those bands until I was well into my teens and early 20s. So we're talking, back end of the middle to the back end of the 80s. And I discovered them without YouTube or anything like that back then. Granted, this music was still perhaps a little bit more in the ascendancy than it is nowadays. But as I've said, we didn't have a lot of it on the radio back then. You discover it by word of mouth, by listening to recommendations from friends, and it only takes. You only have to hear, for instance, some classic rock song that gets put into a movie, and then you go and look at it on Spotify because, I like that song that was in that movie, what's that? So you go and find it on Spotify if you're maybe like 17 years old, and then Spotify thinks, okay, so you like that, do you? Well, have a listen to this. So it will still get promoted by an AI algorithm on a streaming service. if need be. So I don't care whether rock music is dead or not. I think new generations will continue to discover it via whatever means they continue to discover it by. I do agree that when people like Glenn, what's he called? No, Don Henley. That's it, Don Henley from the Eagles, and other kind of bands and artists like, as I say, Led Zeppelin and Queen and stuff like that. When they start putting obstacles in the way of people putting that music up on YouTube, they're not doing themselves any favours. But I don't think that they will, that they're killing the music for another generation. People will continue to discover it and continue to enjoy it in the same way as I bet that that 1940s night there, I bet there's going to be a fair number of people who weren't around in the 1940s or the 50s or the 60s for that matter. It will be people who've discovered that music and are going out for a good night out because it's music that they love, whether or not it is, at the top of the cultural pile of whatever those in the music press deem to be relevant. As I say, rock music has had a good run at the top of the tree, and maybe it is sliding down the other side of the hill now, but it doesn't matter. The people who love it will continue to love it, just in the same way as the people who love opera, symphony orchestra, ballet, whatever art form you like, those people will continue to love it, and it will continue to endure. And I think that's pretty much all I've got to say on the topic. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Is rock music dead? Yes or no? If yes, do you care? Or are you like me? It's just like, well, I don't care what's deemed to be culturally relevant. I like what I like, and I'm going to continue to do so. There you go. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hope you found this interesting and hopefully entertaining in some small way. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream tomorrow and every Friday at 5 PM UK time. We drink beer and talk about stuff, music, guitars, whatever. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.